Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and this podcast and the final in our series sharing little nuggets and excerpts from my book, Shine Bright. It's my newest book and it's all about how to discover your message, build confidence sharing it, and make the difference you're here to make. And chapter 10, we close with shining in all seasons. So there are seasons that we will all encounter in our life of success, of failure, of transition. And it's not so much about each one looking the same. I think it's realizing that each season can look different and how you shine and show up in each one needs different support, different strategies, different approaches. And so today I wanted to just share a tiny bit of that chapter. So number one, think about what season is most comfortable for you to show up and shine in. Every season will feel comfortable and uncomfortable in different ways, and you may be more comfortable shining in some seasons than others. So, for example, obviously failure is probably not everyone's favorite season to shine in, but you would be surprised that some people have an equally hard time shining in seasons of success. So maybe for you it's actually sometimes more comfortable to say this is the hard thing I'm going through than it is this is the amazing thing that I'm going through, that I created, that's happening in my world. And just kind of being aware that that exists can alleviate some of that feeling of like, why is this so hard for me? Everything was going so well. Or, I wouldn't expect this season to feel harder to share and show up in, but it is. Like, that is a real thing. And just knowing that helps with some of the resistance in it. Even seasons of transition obviously have their own challenges as well. Most of us don't like that feeling of not being sure what's next, of not being able to have an answer for what's coming ahead. And yet we all experience it from time to time. And so how do you show up and shine in that season? I think the second thing that you can reflect on is, what season are you in now? Are you in a season of transition, wondering what's next, not really sure, not having the answers, but knowing something is coming? Or maybe you're in the part where you don't know something better is coming, and that's okay too, because that's part of it, right? Or are you in a season of success where you are seeing the rewards of your labor and your hard work and your intention? Are you in a season of struggle where you didn't expect to be having to learn these lessons? I remember once in my business journey, I had gone into so much more debt starting my first business than I ever thought I would. And I had thought that it would be so much faster and easier, especially coming from like a marketing background. I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm so ready. I know these things. I was scared it wouldn't be, but I was like excited for it. And I remember having it be so much harder and slower than I thought, and realizing like you are in the middle of your worst fears coming true right now. You've gone into debt, you've burned through your savings, but you're still standing. Like, you're still here. You're still willing to keep showing up and trying and figuring that out. And to me, that gave me some reassurance in this season of quote unquote failure. And I realized that what I perceived and looked at as failure, which is not having things work on my timeline as I wanted them to, maybe the universe or God or life didn't have the exact same definition of failure. Maybe its definition was bigger to include, maybe this was the success of the season of like learning so much about myself and my business and the humans I wanted to serve. Like, maybe failure wasn't as I traditionally thought of it, but was actually not trying and not being willing to keep showing up every day. And maybe success wasn't accolades and revenue and income as I desired, but it was showing up and learning so much about myself and learning these hard lessons. And so, it's just to say that there's nuance to each season, and what you perceive as one may look different depending on the bigger perspective that you give it, but it's okay to acknowledge how a season feels to you. So which one do you feel like you're in now, and what is easy about this season and showing up and shining, and what's challenging for you? I think the next question to ask yourself is, what does shining look like in this season. So you get to decide, sharing and showing up and shining, a lot of S words, in a season can look different to everyone. For me personally, I have found that in seasons of transition, it is not my biggest sharing season. I tend to go more inward. I tend to kind of figure out the next step and cocoon and like kind of pause whatever I am closing before I go and begin this next thing. I need that time to recalibrate and to almost create space for whatever's coming in. So that's not my biggest shining season, and that's okay for me because I know that it's kind of like that winter season that I need to be the seed that goes underground until I'm ready to sprout and bloom again in the spring when I have the next iteration of whatever I'm building. So maybe it's the same for you, or again, maybe you're someone in sharing, in transitions that you love to bring people into that journey. I have a girlfriend who's amazing at this, who can be going through something in her fertility journey or her business journey, and she just brings people along and can handle the highs and lows and the projections and the comments and everything along the way. So kind of just acknowledging like, what does it look like for you? And that's okay, embracing whatever that is, but kind of defining what you want it to look like in this season for you. How do you want to show up? I think a big question to consider along that lines is like looking back, how do you want to have shown up? When you're 80 years old, how will you want to have shine in this season? What kind of hope will you want to have given to others? What would you want to have done for yourself and your own little circle or family or community? So that can kind of inform, if you're not sure how you want to show up in this season, well, give yourself a few more decades of experience and wisdom, and how would she have wanted you to show up? And that could be something that you use to navigate. And then the last piece of it is can you support yourself in each one? So knowing that some are really uncomfortable and some are more comfortable, what can you do for those ones where you need extra support? Does it mean that you tell your spouse and your girlfriends like how you want them to respond when you come off stage? Is it deciding, like we talked about in one of the previous episodes, how you will handle negative feedback or rejection when it comes, and just having a plan so you feel prepared? Is it talking to a therapist? Is it cuddling your pet? Is it journaling and letting it all out? Is it working out really hard? Is it setting boundaries and not seeing certain people that don't support you in this season? All of those things can be part of how you support yourself with whatever season you're in. And maybe this even becomes some master Word doc or something you create if this really resonates with you, of like, what does it look like for me in each season? What do I just need to know I'm comfortable with and uncomfortable with, and how can I support myself? And it's almost like this operating manual for you as a human or you as a creative person of just like, I know this about myself. So when the next season comes, it's not a surprise. It's not that feeling of like, what is this? I'm so disoriented. I've never gone through this before. It's like, I know exactly who I am in this season and how to support myself. I know that this part will feel good, this part will feel hard, but here's looking back how I want to show up. And here's how I can ask my friends and my family for support. Here's how I can get it resourced. Here's how I can delegate. Here's how I can show up for my community. And here's how I can communicate what season I'm in and what that means for my business or product or services or creative work. So just to get your brain going around those, and I think to give you permission that like not every season of life has to or can look the exact same. And it's okay if you're navigating something different, and if the version of you that's showing up today is different from the version of you in another season. And just to get you some tools to start thinking about to feel more empowered to show up how you want to in this season and future ones. And to give yourself a little grace if you're learning this for the first time in some ways, or this season is different than any other. And it's like, of course it feels different. Of course it feels challenging. Of course it feels disorienting, but it doesn't mean that you aren't strong enough to handle it. It doesn't mean that you will not get to the other side. And it doesn't mean that you won't be standing in a new season this time next year, learning something new to navigate, or having gone through something and gotten to the other side. So I want to just share that with you as encouragement. And again, if you are interested in diving way deeper into all of this, this particular topic is chapter 10 of my book, Shine Bright. But there are many other chapters that you can get little excerpts of from the previous past 9 or so episodes of this podcast, we talk about how to find your message, build confidence sharing, and use your gifts and your message to make a difference. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope this encourages you in whatever season you are in.